Your first draft is going to suck. And that's exactly what it's supposed to do. If you're sitting there right now, staring at your screen, thinking that your writing is garbage, congratulations, you're doing it right. Today, I'm going to show you why embracing that mess is the secret to actually winning the November Writing Challenge. In your head, your story is perfect. Your characters do and say all the right things, and each moment builds perfectly on the one before. But at some point, you need to get the story out of your brain and into the world. The first draft is when you finally bridge that gap between fantasy and reality. It's a special time when your story comes to life, and also a big mess. There's a massive disconnect between the story in your head and the one you're putting on the page. With very few exceptions, writers do not sit down and produce a perfect story on the first go. That's why first drafts are also called rough drafts. They're meant to be rough. I've also heard them called zero drafts, as in, this doesn't even count as a first pass, it's such a disaster. You might love some parts of your story and cringe while you're writing others. That's totally fine and completely normal. So what's the point of a first draft? Why put yourself through this pain? Well, it's because without a first draft, you don't have a story. They say you can't edit a blank page. Even the messiest first draft is better than the most perfect daydream because that daydream isn't real. The draft is. Writing the first draft is an exploratory process. If you embrace the mess and keep going, you'll find new ideas and a deeper understanding of your story. Your novel will grow and change, and that's fine. You'll usually end up with something better than what you first imagined. Here are my top 5 tips for writing your first draft. Number 1, focus on progress, not perfection. Many writers expect too much from their first drafts. They think their story should be perfect on the first try, and the reality can be really discouraging. I blame movies for this. Cinematic authors write their drafts in a feverish frenzy, scrawling page after page while the music swells. The film then cuts to them handing the finished manuscript to their editor like nothing happened in between. The reality is most writers go through 5 to 7 drafts before publishing their novels. I know of some who've written dozens. So don't worry about being perfect on your first draft or even your fourth. Embrace the process in all of its messiness. Novelist Anne Lamott is a big believer in what she calls the shitty first draft. Just write it, let it be awful, and don't worry about it. At least it'll be done and you can move on to fixing it later. When I find myself struggling with perfectionism, I write, "I hereby give myself permission to write badly" at the top of the page. It's silly, but it helps me not to take myself too seriously. Number 2, write quickly. Write your first draft as quickly as possible without stopping. Try not to judge your words and just let them flow. Just capture as much of what is in your brain as possible. Momentum is critical for drafting. I've met so many brilliant writers who wrote their first drafts in drips and drops over years. They almost all got discouraged and gave up before finishing. The task felt too big, or they simply lost interest. This is where challenges like the November Writing Challenge are really great. They have a deadline and force you to write quickly. You don't have time to get stuck in a perfectionistic spiral. You have to keep going or you'll never meet your word count. If you struggle with writing quickly, try writing in sprints. I especially love the Pomodoro technique when you work for 25 minutes without stopping, then break for 5 minutes before working for another 25. You'd be amazed at how much you can get done with a ticking clock and no distractions. Even better, record your word count for each sprint and try to beat your high score. Number 3, don't edit. Avoid the temptation to go back and edit what you've already written. Seriously, don't do it. Nothing kills your momentum faster than backtracking. Every writer I've ever met has an inner critic living inside their head. That critic loves to pick apart whatever you're writing because it's not perfect yet. Every time you go back and edit, you're giving in to that perfectionism. This doesn't just slow you down, it makes that critical voice stronger, making it harder to ignore in the future. When I was a beginner, I really struggled with perfectionism. So I made a rule for myself. I wasn't allowed to erase anything. I wrote my first drafts on an old-fashioned typewriter with no delete key. Once I typed something, that was it, there was no changing it. Because first drafts are exploratory, you will change your mind about things. You might decide the story needs to start in a different place, or a subplot isn't working out, or maybe you want to introduce a new character. Just make a note and move on. Write as if you'd intended the story to go that way all along. You can always fix it in a later draft. And let's talk about those later drafts for a second. Your story will continue to evolve throughout the writing process. These changes make editing your first draft a massive waste of time. You can spend days perfecting a scene that you'll end up cutting in your third draft anyway. You might as well keep going, finish your draft, and worry about it later. Number 4, hold yourself accountable. You're going to have days when you feel like writing and days when you really don't. It doesn't matter, hit your word count anyway. This is another way that challenges are great. The November Writing Challenge provides structure and encourages you to meet your goals. Especially if you're doing the challenge with other people or with us at Scribble, you have something to keep you on track. If you're writing with Scribble, you can meet your goals in real time. A progress bar at the top of the screen fills up as you write, showing you how close you are to your 50,000 word goal. You can also track your daily progress with our productivity tracker. Number 5, trust the process. The first draft is only the beginning. Many new authors think that finishing the first draft means they're practically done. By the time December 1st rolls around, you probably won't believe this anymore. Experienced writers know that the first draft is just the start of a longer process. You have many more drafts to go before your story is truly ready for readers. It's important to understand where you are on this journey. The more realistic your expectations, the more likely you are to want to keep going. You'll realize that your first draft struggles don't make you a bad writer, they're just part of the process. So settle in for the long haul and keep writing. You'll get there eventually and everything is going just as it should be. I hope the November Writing Challenge is going well for all of you. If you haven't already, sign up for Scribble. It's full of features to help you write your first draft. In our next video, we'll get into what can go wrong while writing your first draft and how to fix it. So if you're stuck, hang in there. Until then, keep writing.